All right. Okay, so first I wanted to talk about some of the things that I thought were not hype. Just things that were just, you thought they would be hype, but then they're just not. Starting off mainly with the press conferences. So Microsoft, Bethesda, and Ubisoft, all of them sort of made the same mistake. They announced interesting games, but they didn't have any gameplay to show, during the conference. Gears of War, a huge game for Microsoft, had no actual gameplay shown on the floor. Even though the game was playable, on the show floor, there was no gameplay shown during the actual press conference. Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop, both of those seemed like really interesting games coming from Bethesda, but again, we got no gameplay. And then you have Ubisoft's Gods and Monsters, and it seemed like it had potential, from the little bit that they said about it, but again, we don't have gameplay for that game either. Also, something to mention, I don't think Combo is here, but I know that he really wanted to see some Elder Scrolls 6, some Elder Scrolls 6 news, or at least some gameplay or something. There was a single sentence where they just said that it was still in development. Okay, and then, at first, I was excited to hear about that Adventure Time crossover with Brawlhalla. The thing is, I knew next to nothing about that game, but I loved the idea of playing Adventure Time characters. Then I found out that they're just skins for existing characters. They don't have any unique movesets, and that just sucked. That literally killed all my hype in that one little, discovery I found. Thanks to someone who told me on Twitter before I just decided to, go and buy the game or buy the DLC and whatever. There was no mention of Bayonetta 3 at all, and that kind of sucked, but at the same time, they probably want to keep the focus on Astral Chain. Platinum Games is developing both games, so it makes sense that they would mention Bayonetta 3. They don't want it to outshine Astral Chain since it is a new IP. That makes a lot of sense, but still. And then, okay, yeah. Pretty much from what I've seen, all of these things combined, this is why most people agreed that Nintendo won E3. Their Nintendo Direct had the perfect presentation because it featured gameplay and it featured, surprises, Before we get to the hype stuff, because again, I just kind of wanted to briefly talk about the things that weren't hype. I do think that for the most part, E3 had a lot of really hype, nice surprises. But there's just one more thing that I think needs to be mentioned before we get to the hype things. Let me just check the comments really quick. Yo, Truancy, what's up, dude? Yes, Gray, that was kind of disappointing when they confirmed that they're not making any announcements. At the same time, though, I think that it was smart for them to say it up front instead of there being expectations. I will talk about Arc at the very end because some things I just think that the way they handled Kill la Kill If and Grand Blue Fantasy Versus at E3 for the most part, they did not make the most of their time. I'm gonna talk about that though at the very end. Let me see here. Yeah, Gray, I do agree, and yeah, I mean, it was kind of easy for Nintendo to get the attention that they got there from their Direct. I got you, Rain. Yeah, I mean, Fallout 76, I will say, from Bethesda's, from the first, half hour of their press conference, it literally seemed like they spent it apologizing for the game and announcing a bunch of free things, regarding the game, as well as free things, free different games, whatever that they also, have been working on. That's pretty much what it seemed like for the first 30 minutes of the presentation there. And then, then they started to move on to other things, but again, not that much gameplay. But yeah, I can see why you're worried about the sequel to Skyrim. Zin, okay. Just real quick, I know how you feel, bro, about missing Elizabeth. I've been saying it for forever. I feel the same exact way when it comes to the villains and Rise. The same exact way. If I just get those characters, I don't care. I don't care what you do after. Like, that's literally how I feel. I feel the same way. I understand, dude. Alright, so the last thing I wanted to touch on here before, getting to the hype things that were mentioned, the big elephant in the room, Pokemon Sword, Pokemon Shield. In case you guys didn't know, there was an announcement made that made a lot of people disappointed about the game, and apparently not every single previous Pokemon from previous generations will be in the new game. That's a big... If you don't know, that's a big fat fail in the world of Pokemon for the franchise. It's been something that's been there from the very beginning, and it sucks that this is happening now. A lot of people have said that, that they could wait, that they are willing to wait longer for the games to come out, myself included. I would much rather wait longer for that perfect game than to get something, that could have been better had they had more time. But from what I found out, I've heard that the video games are only a small % of the income that Pokemon as a franchise makes. The games pretty much function as marketing for the anime, which gets people to buy the trading cards and all the different figures, which apparently those are the things that make up the majority of, their profits and everything. Some people think that Game Freak is lazy because of this. I personally think that it was a really bad decision for the Nintendo Treehouse Showcase for Pokemon Sword and Shield to end on that note. Just with that unhyped note. Everything was great and up until that, like the last, 3 to 4 minutes of it. And then it just like hurt it, man. That hurt. And then he had nothing positive to say afterwards. The guy who was, asking the questions, he even seemed surprised and he even tried to get the guy to say something positive, right? And, he was like, is there anything else you want to say before you have to go? And all he had to say was, hey, pretty much look at all the multiplayer features that are coming to the game and all the new raid battles. I hope you guys enjoy those features. And then that was that. The thing is, from what I've heard, the games have to release in a certain time frame for advertising, for the trading card game and for the anime. I can say that I'm okay with, like the Mega Pokemon and the Z-moves being cut out for the sake of balance, which that's another thing that they talked about. They wanted the game to be balanced, to be more focused on the competitive part, which I think that's awesome. But to delete people's favorite Pokemon when we're finally getting a main game on a home console, like, that's just not okay in my opinion. It really isn't. It just really isn't. I just think that right now is the wrong time for them to be doing that. I think they should have done that with either Ultra Sun or the game after Sword and Shield. They kind of told the more hardcore fans to wait for the 2019 Pokemon games to come out when they announced Let's Go, and I personally was really excited to transfer my Pokemon teams, that I was currently playing in Ultra Sun to the Switch and to battle in HD, online on my TV here at home. That was the dream. That was a lot of people's dream. But, that's kind of why people right now are really, kind of angry at Game Freak and Nintendo, and, using the hashtag #BringBackNationalDex to try to make a statement to them that this is not okay, But there have been leaks on 4chan, and if the leaks that have, came out and the ones that are still coming out continue to be true, then there is still some hope because, there's some leaks that sound really good. Okay, so that was pretty much it for the things that, were disappointments. But let me get on to some of the more, interesting and hype things regarding E3. Let me check the comments really quick first, though. Let me see here. Great. I actually have just a little something to add about Senran Kagura coming to BB Tag at the very end of my discussion. I do have a little something that, again, fuels my belief that they will be coming. Yo, Midnaz, what's up, dude? Okay, let me see here. Zin, you seem like you have a very alternate color focused theory when it comes to looking at what characters will come into BB Tag. I mean, okay. I'm not gonna, say I don't believe you. I just never doubted that Elizabeth wasn't coming to the game, but if whatever your logic is about all those characters having, some other characters' colors, whatever, however you want to think about it, it's all good, bro. Mega Lapras would be interesting to see. I would have liked to have seen an Alolan Lapras, to be honest, but who knows? Let me see here. Alright. Okay, 1 second, and then I'm gonna get to, the really hype things. Okay. Well, when I say hype, I mean at least, the bigger games. Some of the bigger games, and then some of just the nice, surprises that were mentioned at E3. Now, I don't think that all these games are hype. It's just some of them are just big games, so obviously a lot of people are looking forward to them. Alright, so first up, Gears of War 5. So apparently, you can play as the T-800 Terminator in a multiplayer mode if you pre-order, or you play the game, really soon after its release. And the developer said that they want the game to become an esport, and that, so far they're having success going in that direction, so that sounds interesting. I haven't played a Gears game since, like, Gears of War 3, but, I might try out, Gears of War 4 and 5. We'll see. The Final Fantasy VII Remake. So, we finally got a look at the game, actual, real gameplay. And man, it has an awesome combat system. It has a lot of real-time action, but it keeps the active time battle system from its original release, where you can like pause everything and pick an action. Visually, it looks great. From the people who played it, I heard that it's already in its current form. It's a blast to play. Apparently, you can also use a tactical mode, or you can have shortcuts set on your controller so that, the whole way you can play it like as an action game. Now, Tifa looks great. I'm just gonna say that, that's the first thing I want to say. Tifa looks great, but I do know that some people think that Sony might have had a hand in the result of her current design, because, some people say that her breasts just aren't as big as they were in, like, the original. It's possible that Sony had a hand in that, or maybe that's just how Square Enix, just wanted her to be in this version, in this new remake. The thing is, we don't know. Unless they came out and said something, we have no idea, so, that's that. But regardless, she looks great. I will say the one thing, though, is that it was confirmed that the game will be split into multiple games. The first one apparently goes up to Midgar. I don't know how many games that they're going to be splitting it up into, but I know for myself, I'll be waiting for the entire, story arc and everything that spans the whole story, to be released. Also, on a side note, I'd love to see Final Fantasy VII cross over with a fighting game. If they even just put Tifa, like, in a fighting game as a guest character, right? She'd do extremely well as a guest character, no doubt. Like, I just see that working out really well. I see that drawing a lot of hype. And I think the timing for it, within 6 months of the game coming out in March of next year, I think that, honestly, the timing of it and everything is right. I feel like fighting games are kind of, like, on an upswing, and I think that this is the right time for it. Hopefully, they actually come through and they do something cool like that. We'll have to wait and see. Hold on, let me just check the comments really quick here. Rain, no, they did not reveal anything about BB Tag. yet. I'll be talking about BB Tag at the very end. Doctor, I 100% agree. For some reason, I think the servers for BB Tag got a bit worse after the new update came out. I swear it did. Like, ever since the day it came out, like, you really can't trust the, like, you know, what it says for what the connection is. I know you pretty much couldn't before, but I felt like this time, like, if I, you know, most 2-bar connections now, I end up getting lagged most of the time, so I do agree with that, man. Hopefully one day we do get the netcode that, you know, that's, like, amazing and, you know, it works perfectly. That would be great. Lapras becoming a Mega and evolving into a Dragon Ice type. Okay. You know, I don't think... Off the top of my head, I don't think we have a Dragon Ice type. Off the top of my head. I don't think we do. If we don't, that would be really cool. Let me see here. Don't worry, Minaz. I'm going to be mentioning a little bit about SK at the end of the discussion here. Gray, really? Bro, I haven't even looked. I didn't even know that. People are already asking for Tifa to come to DOA. That's awesome. My personal preference... If it was my personal preference, I would want it to be a 2D fighting game, personally. But I can see the reasoning for them wanting her to come to Dead or Alive. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I agree, Zin. She would fit in. I feel like if Sony did affect her current appearance in Final Fantasy VII Remake, whatever her appearance is in Dead or Alive, they could go wild because it wouldn't make any difference there, you know. Alright, moving on. Luigi's Mansion. I know, like, I mentioned this game to you guys in my last stream, Luigi's Mansion 3. The gameplay looks good. There's nothing else on the market like it in terms of how it plays. It looks like it's 60 frames per second just from eyeballing it. And, you know, it just looks great overall. I'd love to see Luigi's Mansion 1 come to the Nintendo Switch. I haven't played it. I've only played Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon on the 3DS. You know, hopefully we could get the original one put on Switch at some point in the future. Let's see, Star Wars Fallen Jedi. This was one that a lot of people were keeping an eye on. It had a good showing. From what I heard, I didn't stick around to watch the rest of the EA Play thing, but from what I heard, Star Wars was like, it was like, hey, that's the good thing that they're showing here, and then a lot of people did not like the rest of the show at all, right? Which I'm glad I sat there, I watched Star Wars, and then I was done watching that. You know, it had a good showing. It looks like it'll live up to the Star Wars brand. The combat looks fun. This is the key thing, in my opinion, that made the game look good. Enemies will have counters for your counters, so even if, you know, you figure out how to fight a certain enemy type, the AI will adapt to that. I think that's great. And there will be references to things from the Star Wars movies, but still, you know, be really accessible to people like myself who know little to nothing about, you know, the Star Wars universe. And also, they said that the dev team talks with Lucasfilm almost every single day about character concepts and even some gameplay aspects. Just from that alone, it sounds like this game is really going to live up to what it needs to in terms of, you know, in order to redeem the whole look of Star Wars video games, because from what I've heard, it hasn't been that positive, you know, with the past couple of games that they've made. Dying Light 2, I believe. Yeah, it was Dying Light 2. It's, you know, it seems like it's a really player-focused game. It's a first-person action game. You know, it has, like, a lot of infected, you know, quote-unquote infected, you know, in the game that are pretty zombie-like. They said that the world and environment is like a character, and they said that discovery is a big part of that game. To me, it aesthetically looks like a Mirror's Edge meets Last of Us. You know, at least in terms of like how it plays, has a little bit of things in there that remind me of Mirror's Edge, and then of course the environment and everything to me looks like it's The Last of Us, and I think that that's a really cool combination. You know, it just looks fun. I personally don't really like the zombie aspect that much. I just think that there's too many zombie games. I mean, you have Days Gone that just came out. You have The Last of Us Part 2 that's about to come out. I feel like The Last of Us was kind of like an exception just because of how well they crafted the story, you know, weaving in with the gameplay. But for the most part, I usually just don't even play zombie, you know, whatever. You know, but the studio said that they're just a fan of zombies and how they've been represented in media and especially comic books. So that's why. Alright, now I have a couple of other games here, two that I were really looking forward to. But let me just look at the comments really quick. Interesting. Ninja Gaiden. Wait, do Ninja Gaiden and Virtua... Okay, Virtua Fighter's a fighter, but does Ninja Gaiden have sprites? I thought Ninja Gaiden... I thought that was like a 3D hack and slash game. Yeah, oh yeah, there was the Breath of the Wild 2, announcement that they had. I think that, I haven't played Breath of the Wild, to be honest, but a lot of people do think that that was Ganondorf that was there, and a lot of people, you know, said that that was their big game in terms of what they were happy to see at E3. I never played the first Breath of the Wild, so to me it was just like, oh, it's another Zelda game. Alright. But yeah, a lot of people were excited about that. Memoji. I do not know who Memoji is, Gray. And, like, the only Rachel I know off the top of my head is Rachel Alucard, so... And I don't think she was in Dead or Alive. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, so they're from another Ninja Gaiden game. Okay, I got you, dude. Alright. Let me see here. Okay, so the next two games, Avengers and Crash Team Racing and Nitro Fuel. Those were the last two here that I wanted to mention. You know, for Avengers, this was another big one a lot of people were waiting for. You know, during their dev talk, you know, like on one of those streams, I think it was on Twitch's E3 stream, they repeatedly stressed that this is an original story that will surprise people. They said that they've taken a look at years of Avengers history through the comics, and they created their own story that's supposed to stay true to those characters. Each character is supposed to have their own arc, their own playstyle, and, you know, just feel true to who they are. And then they said the main focus of the game is how the Avengers assemble and come together. You know, from what they said, all the Avengers will have their own differing opinions, but at the end of the day, they'll still work together as a team. Some people said that they preferred Ultimate Alliance 3, and I guess it's just a matter of taste. Looking at it, Ultimate Alliance 3 looks mainly, you know, like a party kind of game with a lot of characters that, you know, can do a lot of visually crazy things. You know, I think it's kind of like the game that people want to see their dream team compositions in, you know, characters from the Avengers, X-Men, X-Force, etc., you know, all of them working together, you know. I know for myself, I'm personally more excited for the new Avengers game coming out. I think that's going to be great. Let me see. Minaz, I mean, like, from what I've heard about the Avengers gameplay, they've said good things about it. They didn't really have anything like bad to say about the gameplay. It is still a while before the game comes out. I do know that some people think that Black Widow could be a bit, you know, they could be a bit, she could be a bit more, like, fleshed out as her, you know, like, with her playstyle and everything, but I didn't hear anyone say anything bad about the gameplay. You know, at least I personally didn't. Alright. And then last year, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. So, in my opinion, the marketing for this game has been so well done. The game has only looked more and more fun as it's been leading up to its release next week. They announced that content is coming after release and it will be free. They have seasons where just for playing the game, you earn coins and you unlock new characters and content in the game without spending any real life money. I think that that's a great approach. And it kind of reminds me of what Overwatch does, except that there's no loot boxes or randomness involved with getting the rewards for participating. It seems like you get them in a certain order and all you have to do is just keep playing. I think that's really awesome. They have announced 3 seasons / what they're calling Grand Prix so far, and they also confirmed that Crash Tag Team Racing content and Spyro is going to be coming to the game, and I think that that's really hype. The Grand Prix featuring Spyro is called Spyro and Friends, so that means we could be getting 2 to 4 more Spyro characters in the game beyond just Spyro himself, which would be awesome. I personally would love to see Alora, Hunter, and Bianca make it in, and I'd love to get more than just one Spyro-themed track, because there's just so much that you could pull from when it comes to the Spyro, universe, but I don't think that's likely. It was also teased that we might be getting more guest characters, more guest franchises added in that game, and while it's just a kart racer, it's just a little go-kart game, right? I think that, it's obvious that guest characters won't make as big of a difference gameplay-wise there as they would, here in a fighting game like BB Tag. But still, I think it's really hype. Personally, I would love to see Mario, Sly Cooper, and Cat come to Crash Team Racing. And, of course, it'd be really cool to have tracks inspired from their universes. It's a stretch, but it's something that I would absolutely love to see. Also, just a heads up, I will be streaming that game. I will be streaming Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled on release date next Friday, which is a week from today, so look forward to that. And then there was just like a few surprises I wanted to mention. Some things that were just, big surprises or things that I didn't really expect to see. And right after that, I'm going to talk about, Arc Sys and E3 pretty much. Arc and E3 and what they, did or didn't do. Let me just check the comments really quick here. Gray. Okay, Gray, I'm guessing that you're saying that you don't like that both Miss Marvel, the new female Captain Marvel and the male Captain Marvel are both in, I'm guessing, Ultimate Alliance. I mean, you don't have to play as, you don't have to play as the one you don't like or anything. I mean, they said they're trying to get as many of those characters in as possible, so they're just trying to please as many people as they can. Yeah, Doctor. I think that's awesome too. There were some leaks that I talked about on my last stream about how, they had release dates for the Spyro Reignited trilogy for Switch, as well as saying that Spyro will be announced at E3. I was looking forward to it. I'm happy that I wasn't disappointed when it came to that. Alright. So yeah, just like a few surprises that were like announced at E3 that kind of caught me off guard in a good way though. One, Lego and Forza Motorsport. Like, bro, I thought that was a joke at first, but no, it's legit. Lego cars and Lego characters are in Forza Motorsport, apparently. I think that's wild, dude. That's wild. Smash, can't go through this without mentioning Smash Bros. Smash got a double reveal with Dragon Quest XI's hero and with Banjo-Kazooie. Now, I'm not interested in either of the franchises that much, but to have 2 big characters announced in less than an hour of each other, one of them originating in Japan and the other, I believe, originating in the West, that was a really smart idea, man. I mean, dang, like, it really made me think, like, about Arc and BB Tag. Like, come on. please step it up. Please. We're waiting here. Terminator. So Terminator is not only in Gears of War, but it's also going to be in Ghost Recon, and Terminator was also leaked for MK11. I'm just really surprised at how many things Terminator is crossing over with in such a short period of time. I mean, I know they have the new movie that's going to be coming out, but come on, you don't even need to cross promote. Like, people are going to go and see it anyway. You know, I think it's awesome. It's just something I never expected for them to do. Roller Champions. It's a game that Ubisoft announced at their press conference. They did not show gameplay during the actual conference, but they did have a free-to-play demo for PC. I tried it. I think it's a really interesting game. It's a good concept. It has potential. They just need to refine it and you know, expand on it a bit more, in my opinion. Spiritfarer. It was that's one of those indie games that Microsoft announced. I think it's just, I don't know, it caught my attention with its aesthetic. It has like a hand-drawn look to it. It's just great to see, you know, a game that looks like that. It looks like it's fun and interesting. It's something different. Some people compared it to Animal Crossing, which I haven't played, but it seems like an interesting game. And this was one that kind of took me by surprise. The Ni no Kuni remaster. Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch remaster. I literally said to myself a week ago that it would be nice if that ever did happen, but I did not think that they would actually go through and do it. You know, it was a surprise. The No More Heroes 3 announcement. Now that was hype. I immediately recognized it had to have been No More Heroes from like the very start of the trailer, and you know, it turns out obviously that was the case. I can't wait to see some more gameplay. Suda51 also said that he wants No More Heroes 1 and 2 to get remastered for the Switch, so that's probably going to happen. He said that was up to Marvelous, Marvelous was actually there at E3, so he said that he was going to bring that up to them, you know, I guess, like, right after he was asked that question. Hopefully he does. Hopefully, they do come to the Switch. And, yeah. So, that was pretty much it for the surprises. And now, I'm going to move on to just things regarding BB Tag and Arc's other games. Kill la Kill If, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. Just let me check these comments. Alright, Doctor, I will take a look at Dragon Quest, because yeah, I haven't played it. So I can't judge it, but I'll take a look at it, you know, I'll see. I'll consider it at the very least. Alright, okay. So moving on to specifically BB Tag and Arc Sys news here. Okay. Oh, just one more quick thing. Even though it wasn't something from E3, I was personally a bit pleasantly surprised to see the Mitsuru versus Weiss death battle had gameplay from BB Tag. In case you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. I will not spoil it, but I will say that I think that they got their facts right when it came to this fight. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, just in case you guys don't know, Screw Attack is owned by Rooster Teeth, so I think it, you know, with them using footage from the game, at the very least, in my opinion, I think it shows goodwill towards the game. It's not like they had to use footage from the game. They didn't have to, but they chose to, and I like that. Okay, so for Arc Sys, yeah, just like I was saying earlier, Arc Sys really missed a big opportunity to have BB Tag playable at E3. I just think it's really weird that it wasn't there when just like, what, a month or two ago, they were bringing the game to every single event that they were going to, you know? Kill la Kill If. Kill la Kill If had good reception there. It received 3 awards, you know, / recommendations, you know, whatever you want to call them, from different groups attending E3. But I think it's kind of weird that the game wasn't on IGN's, GameSpot's, or Twitch's stream for a dev talk. Even games that aren't even close to being ready and had little to no gameplay to show at all at any point, during the entirety of E3. Even they had some dev talks, and Kill la Kill If comes out in a little over a month from now, and it has so much that they could show, but, they didn't. And I just thought that was kind of weird. Just when it comes to the marketing of that, I mean, like the game I mentioned before, Gods and Monsters from Ubisoft, they had no gameplay. They get in the dev talk. They're talking about the game as if like, oh yeah, they know where everything is, but they're talking to us like we would know where everything is, and it's like, you didn't show anything, like, again, that's one of the reasons why I think that Crash Team Racing had such a good marketing, such a good marketing run up until this point, through now. Of course, the game comes out next week. They started at the beginning of the year, which I thought was a bit early, but the game only got more hype as it got closer to release. Here's E3. It's there, playable. They show it off on all of the streams, and they make some really cool announcements like, hey, yeah, we're bringing back content from Crash Tag Team Racing. Yeah, Spyro's gonna be in the game. Oh, by the way, Spyro's friends are gonna be in the game. Bro, they're just dropping bombs left and right here a week before the game comes out. That's how you market a game, bro. That's how you do it. And the fact that Arc could have done something similar at the very least with Kill la Kill If, since it comes out next month, really big missed opportunity there, for sure. Also, I would say it's a somewhat similar situation for Granblue Fantasy Versus, but again, that game is still deeper in development, than Kill la Kill If, for sure. It's still, deeper in development, it has a lot going on at the moment, but I think it would have been worth showing off. There were no proper fighting games shown off on any of these streams, if I remember correctly. That didn't have to be the case. It really didn't. Yeah, great. I don't know, man. Arc just seems like they make some crazy decisions, at times, that they just don't think about the best possible thing that they could do. I mean, if you're gonna show up at E3 and you're gonna have your game there, and it's gonna be, ready to come out next month, dude, do yourself a favor and show up on one of those streams and talk about the game and show it off. Like, come on. Alright, so specifically about BB Tag, the next Arc Nama is a week from today, but looking at the announcement that they put up, it looks unlikely that they'll announce anything regarding BB Tag. They're playing some other game on the stream. I don't remember what it was, but it was something completely different. So unless they throw a BB Tag trailer in, like, at the very end, then, it's not happening. There's no announcements that are going to be there for BB Tag. I think that the BB Tag tournament on the 30th of this month in Akihabara, I think that is where we're much more likely to hear something. Hopefully we hear something there. Also, Niche Gamer is going to have an interview with Kenichiro Takaki, the producer of Senran Kagura, who apparently also is working on Granblue Fantasy Versus. This is something that completely slipped my mind, to be honest. I knew that he had quote-unquote left, left Marvelous and was working with Cygames, even though he's still the producer of Senran Kagura. I just forgot that he was working at Cygames. It slipped my mind, and then I didn't even know that he was working on this, But yeah, he's apparently working on Granblue Fantasy Versus. There's going to be an interview where he talks about that, and he talks about some of the things that he plans to do from the current role that he's in. That's going to be an interview coming out, maybe at some point in the next week or so. We'll have to wait and see. If I see it, I will be retweeting it on my Twitter account. Just a heads up. But yeah, the fact that he is already directly working with Arc Sys, like, that right there makes me think that for sure Senran Kagura is coming to BB Tag, or at the very least that Arc has concrete plans to make a Senran Kagura fighting game. At the very least, one of the two, in my opinion. I think it'd be best if they put them in BB Tag first, because that might help people change some of the negative opinions they have about the franchise or the characters, or, maybe people would just enjoy playing the characters, that much, and they'd be that much more likely to pick up a pure Senran Kagura fighting game. Just the fact that he knows, I'm sure he knows about the leaks and Senran Kagura names being in the BB tag data files or whatever, and how the Senran Kagura fan base, they're not in the happiest position right now, and how they have made it clear that they do want to see their characters in a fighting game, either here in BB tag or their own dedicated fighting game. I think it's likely. It would be... I just don't see him sitting there and working with this company if they're just gonna slap his fan base in the face. I just don't see that happening. So I'm personally pretty sure it's gonna happen. I don't know, I don't know when, but I do think, like, in the next year or so, Senran Kagura would have been announced. I do fully believe that. Alright, let me see here. Yeah, if they get announced, I'm pretty sure they probably would have Asuka and Yumi. They're like two of the main ones, so I think that they would be pretty much guaranteed to get in, hopefully. Hopefully. Let me see. Okay, Doctor, I've heard that, but think about it like this. It already has had that reputation. I mean, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do to fix this reputation? I think that at this point, you know what? Maybe give us the villains, but it's like, okay. I mean, I just don't see why people would be against this game if it had the characters in here that people were asking for, and they were adding in others. Like, if we already had the villains and we had, Risei, last member from the investigation team, and we had, maybe a few more male characters from each of the franchises, if they added in Senran Kagura, I personally I don't see why there should be a problem with that. The Senran Kagura fan base is actually a somewhat decent size from what I've seen. At the very least, a bigger size than the Arcana Heart fan base. So, if they decided that they wanted Arcana Heart to be in the game, I don't see Senran Kagura in any way, shape, or form being a step down in terms of getting to more people. No, it won't get to mainstream with Senran Kagura, but it will get to a bigger fan base. And afterwards, of course, they can add in a new franchise beyond that could, start to reach for mainstream. That was pretty much, at least my line of thinking there. Yeah, Doctor, that's pretty much... that's pretty much what I was saying. Yeah, a lot of people... Arcana Heart it's not anything that's that big, but, you see people playing Heart. You see people playing Heart in this game, and, at least in Discord, I've seen some people talking about the new, what was it, Love Max, 6 stars, Extend version, I don't know, Doctor. A lot of players on their tier list put Heart as mid-tier. They put her mid-tier. But alright, bro. I don't think that they're just playing her just because, people think that she's good. I think they actually just enjoy the character, because I think that she's fun to play. I'm sure other people have the same opinion as well. Right, that was the main thing. Even if I'll say, like I said, most of like the pro players are putting her mid-tier, okay? That's a fact. That's out there, whether you look at like Fame's tier list, Unsafe's tier list, I believe even, what's his name, Reno's tier list, they put her mid-tier, just saying. But I just think that the main draw of her is, the fact that she's just a fun character. That's what I think. In my opinion, that's what it probably is. Alright, well, yeah. Pretty much I've covered everything that I wanted to here for today, but I do definitely want to talk about, BB Tag's current meta, as well as, those current tier lists on a future stream. Maybe the next, week or two. we'll have a discussion about that, because I definitely want to talk about that, because I do have my thoughts about you know, those different lists, and it seems like some of those players disagree with each other to an extent as well. All right, well, then I'm sure that next month, yeah, next month we'll see if they switch anything up there with their lists, if they do one each month. All right.